How good is it, and does it really compare to the one that Ronald Reagan had going in 1984?
In short, it's starting to look more like Reagan's unemployment record. That's going to upset a lot of conservatives and please a lot of liberals. But the unemployment today is 8.3%. At the same point in Reagan's presidency, it had fallen to 8%, so it's not that far away. The unemployment rate has fallen more, it fell more under Reagan than it has under Obama so far. But Obama's got a few more months left to try to keep it going down. So it's definitely, you can't spin these numbers. It's a good day for Barack Obama.
Jon, help us weight sort of the obstacles that President Obama has versus what Reagan had at the same time to overcome to a full economic recovery. Looking, of course, at the Eurozone crisis right now for Obama, as well as the drag on housing. Obviously, we're going to talk later about this in the show, but warm weather benefiting the numbers right now, the job numbers that is. Can you kind of weight the two?
Well, you know, I think they both had, the important thing to consider is that they had different sets of obstacles that they had to overcome. You know, Reagan and the Federal Reserve, for that matter, had double-digit inflation, and I think Reagan got credit, maybe credit that should have gone to Paul Volcker, for getting double-digit inflation under control. That was not a problem that Barack Obama has had to deal with in any respect. Barack Obama had a financial crisis that he had to deal with. It was a different set of problems. In some ways, you could say it was more. It was a tougher set of challenges and more intractable. But you know, they both had problems that they had to overcome. They're just different.
Now, at least to my observation, what I'm saying here is that the economy is a lot worse now than it was under the first term of Reagan. Isn't that fair, or am I just is time sort of making it look sweeter back in the 80s than it is now?
The unemployment rate got to about 10.8% under Reagan, so it actually got higher under Reagan than it did under Obama, but it stayed high longer under Obama. I mean, so what Reagan had was a short, sharp recession that quickly turned around. You know, if you measure economic pain over time by months, things have been worse in this period, no question, than they were in the early 80s.
Are there any other comparisons to make besides the one with Reagan that might be more on par with what Obama's facing now in terms of times when we're the U.S.
You know, so a lot of people look at the first Bush scenario. So George Herbert Walker Bush, President 41. You know, it was interesting. The unemployment was actually lower under Bush than it was under Reagan at this point in the presidency. But the problem for Bush was that it was on an upward trajectory. It didn't start coming down until very late in his re-election campaign, and by then it was too late. And I think the comparison there, to a certain extent, is relevant because the big question for Obama isn't where is unemployment today. It's where is it going to be going over the course of the next few months. Is he going to be able to point to progress, to steady, consistent progress over the final year of his presidency? Bush couldn't, Reagan could. It's been very slow and intractable to come down for Obama. So in that respect, it's been a tougher argument for him to make.
So one of the things that I've looked at is the so-called misery index, which is the percentage inflation rate plus the percentage unemployment rate. And if that falls under a president's first term, he tends to get reelected. Are we looking at that happening under President Obama, or is he going to kick that? I mean, it still seems that it's gone up, right?
Well, so inflation hasn't been an issue, although I mean it was last year, and certainly people felt that. You know, we had this spike in gasoline prices, and he's getting some of the blame from that from some corners. But that's come back down. Gasoline prices are down from where they were a few months ago. The problem for him is that the unemployment rate was 7.8% when he took office. Now, what he would any Democrat would say is that he inherited this recession that was getting worse, and it took time for his policies to get some traction. But unemployment is still higher today than it was when he took office. You know, so what he needs to see is it continuing to fall. You know, Reagan could legitimately ask, "Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?" If Obama asked that question, you know, it's going to be hard to get an answer that's very pleasing to him.
I'm sure it is.
You wonder if any of it really matters right now from a political standpoint. if it only matters right when we go into the election in September, October, November, right?
I think people are forming their opinions. They've been forming their opinions for months, and they really, I think, tend to get locked in over the course of the next few months. The unemployment report that comes out in October or November isn't really going to, make it or break it for the president. It's really going to be the trajectory that people see and feel in the real world over the next 6 months or so.
Interesting.
I think.
And we shall see. Thank you very much, Jon Hilsenrath of the Wall Street Journal in Washington, D.C.